Most people refuse to part ways with their silver and their gold because they don't necessarily want to be a person of money. They want to be a person of value. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Hope you're doing well, feeling great, and staying safe. Today, I want to talk about silver and why so many of us are actually planning on never selling our silver. But really quick, just in case you're new, make sure to subscribe for daily videos. Also subscribe to my second channel, which is my backup channel for exclusive weekly content. Brand new video over there. Go check it out. The link will be in the description. And if you want to get some DYDSS merchandise to help support the channel, I would really appreciate it. Any and all merchandise can be found by clicking the first link in the description section down below. Thank you in advance. It's more than appreciated. But today, I wanted to talk about why so many of us are planning on never selling our silver or never parting ways with our silver in exchange for fiat currency dollar bills. You can absolutely part ways with your silver or your gold if you want to. Today's video is just to talk about why so many of us are choosing not to ever part ways with the silver. And by the way, before I forget, I am going to be doing a live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the VIP Club. It'll be linked in the description, and if anybody joins the VIP Club before December 1st, you automatically get entered into my Christmas giveaway, so there you go, link in the description. But as for the silver and why many of us choose to not part ways with it, the spot price goes up, spot price goes down. A lot of people have the buy low, sell high mentality. A lot of people will put their dollars in, they'll convert their dollars into silver or gold, and as the spot price climbs, or as many could argue, as the value of the dollar bill falls and it would appear that silver is going up in value, many people like to cash out. Many people like to trade their silver back into dollars for a larger dollar amount than the amount of dollars that they put in the first place. Now, if you want to do this, you absolutely can. But you need to understand that if an asset that belongs to you appreciates in value and you sell, you will, number one, be expected to pay capital gains taxes. I'll explain momentarily. Two, you are going to be left with a larger amount of dollars that are actually now weaker than they were before you put them into the silver. I'll explain that momentarily as well. And three, your net worth will go down. And I'm going to explain everything throughout the course of today's video. So back to number one. Number one, you will be expected to pay capital gains taxes on the appreciation. So for example, if you were to put, let's just say, $50,000 into silver, years and years and years down the line, that $50,000 worth of silver is now valued at $90,000. Instead of $50,000, it went up to $90,000. If you were to cash out at that point, you would be expected to pay capital gains tax on the $40,000 worth of fiat currency IOU dollar bills. Uncle Sam is going to want his fair share. Uncle Sam is going to want his slice of the pie. Uncle Sam is going to want his cut. You're going to be expected to pay capital gains taxes on the gains and the appreciation that your asset made. Now, there is a way of not having it reported, but fact of the matter is, you actually don't even need to pay capital gains taxes if you don't sell. If an asset that you own appreciates in value, you are not taxed on it unless you part ways with it for dollars. It can go up by 10,000%. Nobody can touch you until you part ways with it for cash. Number two, you're going to have a larger amount of dollar bills, obviously. $50,000 in, $90,000 out, that's $40,000 more, but you gotta understand that the $90,000 may be pretty close to having the same amount of strength that $50,000 once had years and years and years in the past. I mean, for example, 100 years ago, $1 had virtually identical amount of purchasing power as $15 would have today. Point being is that the purchasing power of the dollar bill goes down in value. It depreciates every second of every minute of every hour of every day of every week of every month of every year, of every decade, of every century. The dollar bill gets weaker, it gets older, it gets more brittle, it gets more sickly, it gets unhealthy, and the stability of the dollar bill, one could say it barely even has a leg to stand on. Point being is that it's gotten weaker and weaker as time goes on. The dollar bill does not appreciate in value. The dollar bill does not gain purchasing power. The dollar bill gets weaker as time goes by. So if you were to part ways with an asset for a larger amount of dollars than the amount of dollars that you put in the first place, you got to understand, yes, you have a larger amount of dollars, but they're weaker than they were before. Moving forward, number 3, your net worth goes down. Now, your net worth would be your assets minus your liabilities, and what's left over, that's your net worth, aka the value of everything that you own after you take care of all the financial responsibilities that come along with owning those assets. So if you were to part ways with, let's just say, $90,000 worth of silver, that's $90,000 deducted from your net worth. Now, a lot of people don't care about this. This is something more for the investors, people who are involved in businesses and real estate and stocks and whatnot. As for silver, I personally don't see it necessarily as an investment. I see it more as a hedge against inflation, just a way of saving money. That's just the way I see it, in my opinion, from my perspective. You might agree with me, you might disagree with me, doesn't matter, you don't have to agree with me. I personally don't see it as an investment, but if you want to look at it that way, and if you were to take your silver and exchange it for cash, your net worth wouldn't necessarily go down, assuming that you hold on to the $90,000 if you were to cash out. But let's be honest, most people don't cash out just to have the cash. Most people cash out during financial emergencies. A lot of people liquidate because of economic uncertainty. But for the most part, people cash out so they can buy into whatever's coming next. So, point being is that your $90,000, your cash position, would normally be included in your net worth, but you're probably not going to hold on to the $90,000. In fact, in my opinion, I would believe it would be foolish if you were to hold on to the $90,000. To be honest with you, I think it would be foolish to part ways with $90,000 worth of silver, but point being is that the $90,000 cash position that you now have is probably going to be gone very, very soon, because you're probably either going to spend it, you're either going to invest it, you're going to do whatever you need to do with it. So your net worth would go down. Now, what got me thinking about this was actually the stock market and a couple of videos and articles that I was going through and reading through earlier this week, and a lot of people would say that 200 shares of Coca-Cola is more valuable than $10,000, which can buy you roughly 200 shares of Coca-Cola. Now, this is why a lot of people who invest in the stock market absolutely refuse to sell. They have the mentality that I kind of have when it comes to investments, when it comes to my precious metals. I don't have the buy low, sell high mentality. For me, it's more so buy now, sell never. And the reason I say that is because I don't necessarily want to profit. I don't necessarily want to make all of these gains and pay the capital gains taxes. I'm more so looking for money to be saved rather than for revenue to be generated. And when it comes to silver, silver isn't necessarily known for producing cash flow. But the thing is, when it comes to the stocks or when it comes to the silver, they're both very, very different. Of course, you could invest in a silver or precious metal ETF, but that's not what we're talking about here. Stock market and physical precious metals in your possession, vastly different, but they have some similarities. And most people refuse to part ways with their silver and their gold or their stocks because they don't necessarily want to be a person of money. They want to be a person of value. That is the priority for a lot of people. A lot of people could say to themselves, okay, yeah, I could hang on to the cash. I could cash out and have this fiat currency laying around to do whatever I want with, or I could stay relatively illiquid. I mean, not necessarily. Silver and gold is very liquid, and so are stocks, so long as the markets are open. But most people would rather not have the cash on hand. Most people would rather have a small percentage of a company. They want equity in a company or this massive corporation or this industry. Or for when it comes to the silver and the gold, somebody wants their little microscopic percent of a fraction of a decimal worth of the global silver demand. And in my opinion and from my perspective, that's just the way I've seen it. That's the way I started to see it probably about a year ago. I've been stacking for just about 3 years now. Mid-December will be my 3-year stack anniversary. And I didn't even view it this way until probably around this time last year. I started to have a little bit different of a mentality when it came to stacking. Right now, I still have that buy now, sell never mentality for when it comes to stacking, and I'm not necessarily much of a stock market investor, but if I were to begin diving in headfirst to the stock market, that's the same mentality I would have. Buy now, sell never. Now, of course, I'd want to get the most bang for my buck. Of course, when it comes to the silver and the gold, I always look for a sale. I always wait until I see something is discounted, or I go in extra heavy if I see the spot price is down a little bit. Absolutely. But I don't necessarily want to put my dollars in just so I can flip it down the road for a larger amount of weaker dollar bills, because then I would be in the same boat. If I put $100 in, when $100 can buy me X, Y, and Z, and now goes up to $150 and I cash out, that $150 can probably get me the same exact identical amount of stuff that the original $100 could have gotten me years in the past. And not only that, it's also important to remember that a lot of people aren't necessarily stacking their silver and gold to make a profit or to flip their silver or to cash out for anything like that. A lot of people that I've been in contact with, now this doesn't necessarily go for me because I do not have kids and I don't plan on having kids, but a lot of other people have kids or even grandkids at this point, and their intentions are to pass it down to the next generation. They want it to be generational wealth. They want to stack the silver and the gold. They want to put in the blood, sweat, and the tears. They want to put in the work and build up a stack that they can pass down to their kids. And their kids can potentially pass it down to their kids. And the silver and the gold can be somewhat of a family heirloom, similar to what a lot of people do with jewelry, which, by the way, jewelry is typically made of precious metals. That's what a lot of people like to do. They like to hold on for the long term, not just for themselves, but for their families, for generations to come, for family members that they haven't even met yet, and odds are aren't even ever going to meet. They're talking about their grandkids, generational wealth, years, decades, potentially centuries to come. Or you could do something similar to what I want to do. I want to use the silver and the gold to hopefully propel me forward. I always want to be moving forward. I always want to make progress. I always want to stay productive. I always want to be busy. And the reason I say this is because I've been saying it for a couple years now. I would like to stack as much silver as I possibly can. That's my goal. That's my number one priority right now. Above anything else, the cash that's left over after I trade my time for the cash, and after I'm done taking care of my financial responsibilities, whatever currency is left over, I take a majority of that and I put it into silver and also a little bit of gold. But for the most part, it's silver. The reason I get some gold with my dollars is just for diversification purposes. But ultimately, my plan is to use my silver to get gold if the gold to silver ratio gap closes in. If and when we see that happen. What is it right now? About 1 to 70 or 1 to 80, somewhere around there? If we see 1 to 50, 1 to 40, in my opinion and from my perspective, not a financial advisor, I'm just a guy with a camera, so this is not financial advice, but at 1 to 50 or at 1 to 40, I would probably see as an opportunity to trade some of that silver for gold. Number one, to preserve the higher spot price of silver, because silver, the volatility is all over the place. If it goes up, I would want to capitalize on it when it's up and try my best to keep it up, if that makes sense. And I can keep it up there with some gold, in my opinion. So if I trade some silver for gold and then rinse and repeat, the gold to silver ratio gap spreads back out, I go back to trading my dollars for silver. The gap closes in a little bit, I go back to trading some silver for gold. Now, is that the end of the cycle? Absolutely not. Long term, I'm talking about years, decades down the road, one thing that I would hopefully like to be able to do is trade some of that gold for a little bit of land. Now, anybody involved in real estate, I don't know the exact terminology. I'm personally not involved in real estate, but I do know there is something called the 1031 exchange, and that's a way of going from one to the other without having to pay the capital gains tax. Now, it's not a way of escaping paying the taxes, it's a way of deferring the taxes. You're still responsible for those taxes, just later down the road. What I would like to do is trade gold for land. And then what would I do with the land? Likely lease it for farming purposes, or get myself into real estate, multifamily homes, put roofs over other people's heads, and in exchange generate a little bit of cash flow for myself to keep myself afloat. Those are just some ideas, some plans, some strategies. Maybe one day I'll be able to make it happen. But until then, I'm going to keep stacking the silver. I'm going to keep stacking the gold. I'm going to keep working every single day, no days off, until I'm where I want to be. And I'm very curious, everybody watching this video right now, what are your thoughts? Everything that I shared in today's video regarding refusing to sell, absolutely not cashing out with the silver and the gold just to roll around in the currency and the fiat and pay those capital gains taxes and buy whatever it is that you want to buy, maybe a Lamborghini or a used Toyota Corolla or something like that. Whatever it is that you want to do. Maybe that's not your intention. Maybe you don't want to cash out. Maybe you're someone like me and you don't plan on flipping the silver, you don't plan on flipping the stack, you don't plan on cashing out or necessarily profiting off of the silver and the gold. Maybe you're someone like me who actually prefers to see the appreciation of your assets and continue to hold on. Because number one, you won't have to pay capital gains tax on an appreciated asset if you don't sell it. Two, you don't have to worry about having a larger amount of dollar bills that are now weaker than they were before. And three, you can see your net worth go up. Head on down to the comments and let me know your thoughts on holding on for the long term in terms of precious metals. And in case anybody's interested in joining the Precious Metals VIP Club, it's where I can do things on my own terms, not on YouTube's terms, my terms. I'm hosting privately held live streams. They're smaller, easier to manage. Don't forget, I'm doing one tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, I'm also doing giveaways, discounts, personalized promo codes, shout outs, deal alerts when silver and gold is on sale on a bunch of different websites. And of course, you can watch all of the YouTube videos commercial free. Come join the Precious Metals VIP Club. It'll be the first link in the description. You're invited. I'd be happy to have you. And if you guys enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button. If you guys like me, make sure to subscribe. New videos every single day, 365 days a year. Also subscribe to my second channel, which is my backup channel for exclusive weekly content. Brand new video over there. Go check it out. The link will be in the description. Trying really hard to hit 2,000 subscribers. We just hit 1,500, and I appreciate that. And if you want to help support the channel in the biggest possible way, please consider getting yourself some DYDSS merchandise. Of course, we have some precious metal themed t-shirts and hoodies, which are up for grabs, along with a ton of other products. T-shirts, hoodies, even stickers, many of which are raising funds and awareness for different charity organizations, such as the recently released Kraken Stackin' t-shirt, hoodie, sticker, and coffee mug, inspired by the beautiful 2-ounce silver Kraken coin, which by the way is helping us raise a little bit of funds and awareness for ocean cleanup charity organizations at no additional cost to you. It comes out of my pocket, not yours. Any and all merchandise can be found by clicking the first link in the description section down below. Thank you in advance. It's more than appreciated. And once again, I want you guys to head on down to the comments and let me know if you're holding on to your silver and your gold for the long term. And by long term, I mean years and years and years, decades down the road. What are your intentions? Are you planning on using the silver and the gold, your precious metal stack, as somewhat of a family heirloom, similar to what a lot of people do with jewelry? Do you plan on passing it down to your kids and or your grandkids and or their kids and their grandkids Do you plan on using and utilizing your silver and your gold as generational wealth? Do you plan on holding on for that reason right there? Or are you someone more like me where you are more so hoping to use the silver and the gold to propel you in the direction of being able to buy land? Are you somebody that is more so in it for the short term and you're actually planning on flipping your silver? Maybe you want to cash out. Maybe you don't want to cash out for anything ridiculous. Maybe you just want to cash out and use the silver and gold to supplement your retirement, or maybe you're someone who just wants to buy into the next asset class, the next opportunity, the next thing that you personally consider to be a solid investment. Head on down to the comments and let me know anything and everything related to today's video topic. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. And remember, don't you dare stop smiling. Peace.